Hi, hello everyone. Good day. How's everybody? Welcome to my channel. So don't forget, I am Mr. Alistair Apale, alias Emma Watson. So once again, welcome to Math is Fun channel where you can learn a lot of things in mathematics in an easy way and a fun way where you can appreciate things in mathematics. So math is fun in this channel. So welcome again to my channel. Three times already. But before anything else, I would like to shout out my friends out there. Hello. Hello, subscribers. Thank you for continuing to support my videos and to watch my videos. I know that this video will help you a lot to learn about your lessons in mathematics, especially in grade 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, shout out ko lang ang aking friend from Santa Ana National High School. She's a math teacher. Hello there, Mrs. Nakila. Mapa na Mrs. Russell Mapa. Hello, she's on leave in her school. So I hope you are listening and please continue to subscribe my channel. Click subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your classmates, with your friends, and also with your enemies. Enemies and best friends and lovers, okay? So that you can help them understand things in mathematics because mathematics cannot only be encountered in the school only, but also in the house or in our day-to-day living, perhaps. So now, um, again, do not forget, please click subscribe and then the yellow bell button. Kindly click it and then click the all so that you will be able to be notified when there is a new video that will be uploaded in my video channel. Okay, so again, click subscribe, click the yellow bell button, and also you can post your comment below this video so that I can determine if you have some requests or concerns regarding with the topics that we have in this video discussion. Is that okay? I know it's okay and it's fine. So I hope and it's nice to read all your comments and also please click like and please share it to Facebook, Twitter, and other applications or any sites. Okay, so we can now start with our topic this session or video discussion. Are you ready? I know you're all ready. So let's enjoy mathematics. Now, our topic, as you can see for this video discussion, will be about algebra. Okay, it's part of algebra, which is very known to us, roots and radicals. So our topic for this video discussion is all about roots and radicals. Again, do not forget to subscribe, like, and share, and watch, of course, this video discussion. So let's now first define what is root and a radical. So when we say radicals class or viewers, when we say radicals, it is also called roots, are directly related to exponents. Again, when we say radicals, these are also called roots, which are directly related to exponents. So it is related to exponents. Another thing, the simplest types of radicals are square roots and cube roots. So we all know that square roots and cube roots are very familiar with you because you encountered that one in elementary days, in high school days, and even in college days, especially in advanced and intermediate algebra. So when we say again, the simplest types of radicals that we are known about or we are familiar of rather are square roots and cube roots, as you can see. Radicals beyond square roots and cube roots exist, but we will not discuss them as in depth. So we will focus on how we get the square roots and how we get the radicals. So we will not focus our discussion in finding the roots of, and what I mean is the cube roots, or we will have focused discussion with another discussion with that in other video discussion. So we will just focus on first with the definition. So the rules for radicals that you will learn work for all radicals, not just square roots and cube roots. Okay? And another thing also, the symbol used to indicate the root or a root is the radical symbol. So what is the radical symbol? So that's it. That is the radical symbol. As you can see, again, the symbol used to indicate a root is the radical symbol, um, which is posted on the screen as you can see. So that is the symbol for radical. This one, symbol for radical. So again, this shows, or it is used, or this symbol used to indicate a root, which is the radical, or called as a radical symbol, the radical. So every radical expression has three parts. So I want you to remember about this one. It's very important for us to know the definition. Yes, we defined it a while ago, but it is also important for us to know the parts of radical so that you will be able to recognize it soon or in the future. So radical symbol, index, and radicand. Again, there are three parts of radical expression, namely, we have it, the radical symbol, we have the index, and we also have the radicand. So now, let's go over with our next discussion. Every radical expression has three parts, as I have mentioned a while ago. Example in this illustration, square root of 49. So there is something like the index, that one, as pointed in the arrow. That is what we call the index. The index is 2. We also have the radical, which is the radical symbol that I mentioned a while ago while defining it. And also what is inside in the radical is called radicand. So I want you to remember the three parts of radical expression. We have the index, radical, and also the radicand. So the index of a radical is a whole number greater than or equal to 2. Again, I want you to remember that one. When we define the index of a radical, it means that it is a whole number greater than or equal to 2. Once again, so that you'll not forget it, the index of a radical is a whole number greater than or equal to 2. The index of a square root is always 2. Do not forget that concept. The index of a square root is always 2. So, by convention, an index of 2 is not written since it is the smallest possible index. Again, by convention, an index of 2 is not written since it is the smallest possible index. Again, we are first defining the meaning of the three parts of radicals and its uses, so that later on as we solve it, it will be easier for you to understand the language or terms or symbols that we use in simplifying or in solving radicals. So again, by convention, the use of an index of 2 rather is not written since it is the smallest possible index. That's why, example, the square root of 49 could be written as, right? You can write it as square root of 49 where you can write the 2 as your index. But as what I have said a while ago, if it is a square root, then the index, if the in a square root, the rule in square root, the index is the rule is you don't need to write anymore the index 2 when you are referring to a square root. It's automatic that when there is no index that is equivalent or it has a value of 2. I'm referring to this. I hope you can follow. You know what I am referring on. So now, again, the square root of 49, as I gave a while ago as an example, can be written as square root of 49, where the index can be seen. But in the rule of square, as I have said, it's okay that you don't need to, or it is normally written as square root of 49. So meaning to say, if there is no something like number there in your index, then that is automatically and understandable that it is under square root property or square root. That means the index is 2. Okay, so do not forget this one. So now let's proceed. I hope you got something in here so far. We are just defining again. So all indices greater than 2 must be written. Again, all indices greater than 2, 2 or more, must be written as this. Plural of index. So the index of a cube root is always 3. The index of a fourth root is always 4. The index of a fifth root is always 5. so on and so forth. I hope you can follow. So example, as I have mentioned, we will focus our discussion about the square root and the cube root of a number. So the cube root of 64 is written as cube root of 64, as you can see there. So what does square root mean? So this is the question. What does square root mean? So what does cube root mean? So these questions are the guide questions that we have to answer during this video discussion. So when we say the square root of a number or expression is another or expression. So in short, the square root of a number is another number. So which when we multiply by itself squared gives back the original number or expression. So again, I'll repeat, when we say the square root of a number, it is another number which when we multiply by itself, that gives back the original number. How does it possible, sir? Though I will give you an example later, but I will have to do this one. Example, 2 times 2 is equal to 4. So again, the square root of a number 4, square root of 4, that can be written as 2 squared or 4 or 2 squared. So the square root of 4 is 2. Okay? So again, this is what it meant. Here, the square root of a number is another number, which when we multiply by itself gives back the original number. So square root of 4 is 2, because 2 times 2 is 4. See, it gives back to the number. So that is the meaning of a square root. Okay? So I hope you can follow. Later, I'll give you more examples about that one. So when we say the cube root of a number, it is another number which when we multiply by itself 3 times, it gives back the original number or expression. Again, the cube root of a number or expression is another number which when multiplied by itself 3 times gives back the original number. So this is what it meant here. It means rather, example, 2 times 2 times 2. That gives us 8. Therefore, the cube root of 8 gives back to the number itself, to the base. 8 can be written as 2 cubed. Okay? So, it gives back to the number itself. Original number, which is 2 or 2 cubed. Okay? So that is what we call the cube root of a number. As I have said, class, the cube root of a number is another number which when we multiply or when multiplied by itself 3 times or cubed, that gives back the original number or expression. So do not forget that one. Okay? So easy, right? We are just defining in here. So let's have an example for the square root. Square root of 49 is equal to 7 because 7 times 7 is equal to 7 squared, which is equal to 49. So that was the definition that we mentioned a while ago for square root. And also another thing, square root of 49 is equal to negative 7 because negative 7 times negative 7, that gives us positive 49. So in short, in a square root property class, I will just mention this one. In the square root property, there are 2 answers or there are 2 possible answer. It could be positive or negative. So when we get the square root of 4, it could be positive or negative 4. But in this case, in the square root that we are limiting the value or its value, we just talk about the principal square root. Again, in a square root property, when we get the square root of a number, example, square root of 4, the answer will be positive and negative 4. However, if we talk about the principal square root, that is what we call the non-negative root. So meaning to say, when we say non-negative, Disregard the negative. That's why when we talk about principal square root, the answer will always be positive. Again, when we get square root of 4, in square root property, the answer could be positive and negative 4. Or you can just say 4 and negative 4, or you write this in this way. So, as what I have said, for square root property, there are two answers, 4 and negative 4. However, when we talk about principal square root, take the note, principal square root, the answer will always be positive, which is 4. This is the principal square root or principal root. Why is it's positive? Because according to the definition of a principal square root, the root must be a non-negative root. Okay, so another thing that I want you to remember. Okay, so 49 squared, 49, square root of 49, as I have said, has two answers. We have 7 is called the positive or principal square root, as I mentioned. Oh, I'm very advanced. I mentioned it in the previous slide. And negative 7 is called the negative square root. Do not forget the values of the square root. It could be principal square root and it has negative square root. What I mean is there are two answers. We have positive or principal square root and also negative square root. So the cube root of 64 is equal to 4. Now, because 4 times 4 times 4 is equal to 4 cubed, which gives us 64, equals 64. So the cube root of negative 64 is equal to negative 4. Why, sir? Because as you can see in the illustration, negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is equal to quantity negative 4 plus quantity cube, then which gives us negative 64. So I hope you can follow. So what are the first 10 whole numbers that are perfect squares? Are you ready? You want to know? Okay, stay put and look and observe and look at the pattern. So 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, up to 10 squared, which will gives us a perfect square numbers, first 10 whole numbers or first 10 whole numbers that are perfect squares. We have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100. So what are the first 10 whole numbers that are perfect cubes? Again, what are the first 10 whole numbers that are perfect cubes? So you can see 1 cube, 2 cube, 3 cube until 10 cube will give us the first 10 whole numbers that are perfect cubes are the red color, written in red rather. 1, 8, 27, 64, 125, 216, 343, 512, 729, 29 rather, and 1000. So these are the first 10 whole numbers that are perfect cubes. So if a number is a perfect square, take the note of this. If a number is a perfect square, then you can find its exact square root. So if a number is a perfect square, once again, you can find its exact square root. Wow, amazing. That's why you have to remember the perfect square numbers and perfect cube numbers. So a perfect square is simply a number or any expression that can be written as the square, sometimes written or commonly written as raised to second power. So that is simply a number or a perfect square number. Again, a perfect square is simply a number or expression that can be written as the square. When we say square, raised to the second power or power of 2 of another number or expression. So take the note of the given definition posted on the screen. Of course. So now roots and radicals. So 16 is equal to 4 squared. It can be written as square root of 16, which is equal to 4. Please take down note and be observant with the pattern. How do we write an exponential form, or 16 is equal to 4 squared? We will write it in as principal root form or square root form. So if we have 25, which is equal to 5 squared, correct? 25 can be expressed as 5 squared in its exponential form And in a principal square root, it can be written as square root of 25 is equal to 5. Another example, 1.44 is equal to 1.2 squared. The 1.2 squared is an exponential form of 1.44, which can be written in a principal square root form as square root of 1.44, which gives us 1.2. Okay? So again, we are converting or writing the expression into principal square root or the numbers on the left. So another example, 9 over 121 can be written in exponential form as 3 over 11 squared, closed quantity squared. Then it can be written in a principal square root form as square root of 9 over 121, which gives us 3 over 11. Easy, right? So I want you to remember the 4. So same with this expression, 36b squared can be written as quantity of 6b closed quantity squared, which gives us, or can be written rather, as square root of 36b squared, which is equal to 6b. And also m to the power of 6 can be written in its exponential form as quantity m cubed closed quantity squared, which is in its principal square root form. It can be written as square root of m to the power of 6, sorry, which is equal to m cubed. Correct? So if a number is a perfect cube, what about for a perfect cube? A while ago, that's for the square root. For a perfect cube, if a number is a perfect cube, class, then you can find its exact cube root. Therefore, a perfect cube is simply a number, or we can define a perfect cube as a number or expression that can be written as the cube raised to the third power or raised to the power of 3 of another number or expression. I want you to remember the definition. So to apply this one, let's have an example. So 64 can be written as 4 cubed, which is its exponential form, and in its principal cube root form, it can be written as cube root of 64, which is equal to 4. I want you to observe the order in the pattern. Another thing, 125 can be written in a power of 5, which is 5 cubed, or in an exponent form, which is 5 cubed, and also can be written in a principal cube root as what? What is your guess? Exactly. The cube root of 125 is equal to 5. Another example, 1.728 can be written in its exponential form as 1.2 cubed. And also in a principal cube root form, it can be written as cube root of 1.728, which is equal to 1.2. Wow. So let's have another example. 216 over 125 can be written as 6 over 5 closed quantity cube, which gives us a form in a principal cube root as cube root of 216 over 125, which is equal to 6 over 5. See? So easy. So another example in an expression, 8c cubed can be written as 2c quantity cube, which gives us in the principal cube root as cube root of 8c cubed, which is equal to 2c. Another example, m to the power of 6 can be written in exponential form as m squared quantity cube, which gives us to the form of a principal cube root as cube root of m to the power of 6, which gives us m squared. And lastly, negative 27y to the power of 12 can be written as negative 3y to the power of 4 closed quantity cube, which gives us a form in a principal cube root as cube root of negative 27y to the power of 12, which is equal to negative 3y to the power of 4. So not all numbers or expressions have an exact square root or cube root, as in the previous examples. Again, I want you to realize this one. We have perfect cube numbers. We have perfect square numbers. There are also numbers that are not perfect cubes and not perfect squares. So I want you to remember this one before we end our discussion, that not all numbers or expressions have an exact square root or cube root as in the previous example. So I hope you'll be able to remember that one. So if a number is not a perfect square, then you cannot find its exact square root. Another thing, if a number is not a perfect cube, then you cannot find its exact cube root. And lastly, you can approximate these square roots and cube roots of real numbers with a calculator. You can use your calculator. And there is also, don't worry, I'll prepare a video on how to get its uh, square root or cube root when without using calculator. So now, examples that cannot be that is not that are not rather a perfect cube and a perfect square numbers. We have square root of 40. You can use your calculator to solve its value, approximately 6.325. Another is square root of 135. That gives us approximately 11.619. And the cube root of 40, which is not a perfect cube, that gives us a, using your calculator, you can get its approximate value, which is 3.42. And the cube root of 74 can be equal to, or not can be, which is approximately 4.198. So again, so if you're asking, sir, what if I don't use calculator? I will make a video about that one. So that's so exciting. So next video perhaps. So our topic for the next video will be about simplifying radicals. So we'll just end here. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have learned something in this video discussion about square root and cube root of numbers and expressions. Perfect square roots and perfect cube roots of a certain number and expressions. So I hope next time around, you will take down notes of everything that we have or that I am sharing in this video, because this will help you a lot in algebra. So now, if you like this video, please click subscribe, and please share this one to your friends, enemies, lovers, and even to your parents, to your teachers, and to all people that you know. So please don't forget to subscribe my channel, click like, and also kindly also click the yellow bell button so that you will be able to notify or be notified with the updates of my new videos or upcoming videos. So thank you so much for listening. Have a good day, every one of you. So this is Emma Watson, your instructor in math